Skip Chapman from ATA. Wanted to kick this week off with a little food for thought. There's a subject that comes up a lot of times for people that own dojos or people that just practice, and it's money, right? It's kind of like this word that's very polarizing, and people think about money one way or the other and kind of paint it as this great evil. And, I understand that. I totally get that. I wanted to share a little story with you. It might help you guys out, see where I'm coming from, and kind of why we are putting this whole thing together, trying to get information out to help different dojos. I started a lot like most of you probably did if you own a dojo. I was in my early 20s, started my first dojo, had a full-time job. Actually was just running kind of like clubs out of all different locations, had a trailer that I would tow around behind my Volkswagen Jetta from location to location. And me and my girlfriend, who wound up being my wife, was taking mats in and out, and we would set them up and we would train a couple of people, and then next day go to another location because we couldn't get one location to actually house us for a full week. It was the only way we could get cheap rent. And so, that was a hard time, and we weren't really making any money or anything like that. We were just doing it because we loved Aikido. We wanted to spread it, and that was great. Started to get a little bit of a following and wanted to take that big step of getting a lease and going all in, like really leaning in on this thing and opening a dojo. And I mean, I was 24, 25 years old. I had one other dojo briefly with a partner where kind of just got together, started doing some stuff. It didn't work out, so I went my own direction. So, I was doing this for about a year, maybe 2 years. And then figured, okay, I have a few students, let's try and open a dojo. So I had a full-time job, I had the safety net. So I was like, all right, found a great space, went in there, did the whole thing. Place had to be renovated, did all of that myself with, my father and my friends and my students. We all came together, we made it happen. Place was great. But then I wound up getting laid off very soon after, and that safety net of the job went away. So now I could hardly make my rent for the new place. I didn't have enough students, didn't know anything about business, didn't know anything about running a dojo. I knew how to teach Aikido. I loved it, but I wasn't really qualified to have any kind of thing that looked like a business where I had real bills that had to be paid on a weekly or monthly basis. So, I was panicking. I also had nowhere to live, by the way, so I was living in the dojo. Made a little loft in the back, had no heat, was sleeping in a loft that was about 2 feet away from the ceiling in my office that had no heat, no windows, no AC. And the only way I really fed myself was with people would donate like crates of water, and we would sell the waters for like $1. So then I'd take that and I would go to the dollar store and I'd buy meals with that. And, that's how I sustained myself. Any money I got from unemployment went to paying my lease. I don't know if this is clicking with any of you, but I think we've all been in that position. And I remember people telling me like, good, you should suffer when you start. You're like, you should suffer so you can appreciate. And I get that. I really do. I don't know if now people would want to go through that, especially like in their early 20s or even older when they have people depending on them. Because it was a stressful period, right? And I think we've all been there. If you've owned a dojo, you've been sweating it. If you have a lease, or even if you just have a club and you're like, yeah, man, I'm really sweating. Like, what are we going to do? How am I going to make this work? It shouldn't be that stressful, right? I think we're all doing this because we love it. If an instructor is making enough money to make a living with, long story short is, I was able to work my way up. I remember sitting down with my brother-in-law, and I wanted him to look at our business, and my fiance, who became my wife, we're sitting with him, and he's like, you don't have a business, this is like a club, but this will never really be a business. And for me, that really fired me up and said, I have to make this work. Like, this is my only form of income, and I want to be a dojo. I want to do this for the rest of my life. This is what I want to do. How do I do this? So it really drove me. My back was against the wall, and I had to make a lot of choices and learn a lot of things that just weren't being done. And I worked my way up, and eventually, my wife and I got married. We had triplets. We were able to support a family of 5 just on the dojo, on nothing else. She had to leave her job because we had the kids. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, you can do it. And money isn't evil. I know plenty of people that are very poor that probably are not the best people. You probably know some people out there that have money and are evil, and people that don't have money that are evil. Has nothing to do. It's what you do with that resource that dictates the good or the bad, right? If you take that money and you're supporting your family so that you can do this as a full-time thing, or so that you can have a better dojo where you have more students and you grow the art, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if that's not your thing, you want a club, you want to teach for free and do seminars for free, and that's great. Power to you. But I think we have to be very fair to the people that do this as a living. That start for me, going from no students to living basically homeless to being able to have, at our peak, we had 200 students with 100 of those being kids. That led me in other directions where I've taken my business and added to it. And now having a 10,000 square foot facility with Aikido and CrossFit and a rowing studio and a weightlifting studio, that's all because of Aikido. That taught me how to run a business. So you can do it. And I think we should cut some slack to people that are doing it just because they're trying to make a living doing it. I don't think we should demonize them, right? Look at their character for that, but not just being immediately demonized because you want to support yourself or you want to put food on the table and you want to go all in and lean in on this dojo thing and really try and grow the art and do something that's important to you. I have the utmost respect for anybody that does that or anywhere in between. So, my message for this week is maybe just think about how we perceive money. And instead of looking at the money being evil or good, look at the person and what they're doing with their members, what they're doing with the dojo, what they're doing with their teaching. What's their message? Are they giving back to the community? To me, that's what makes a person good or bad. It's all about their character, right? Hope you guys have a great week. Mallory Graham's interview or podcast will be coming up next week. We'll post that for you guys.